Shadowed Battlegrounds presents Courage Under Fire, the story of Doris Miller at Pearl Harbor. The sun rose slowly over the calm waters of Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. The battleships anchored at the harbor gleamed in the early light, and the sailors aboard USS West Virginia went about their morning routines. Among them was Doris Miller, a young African-American mess attendant who had joined the Navy in 1939 to support his family back in Waco, Texas. Doris was a strong man, known for his quiet demeanor and impressive physical strength. He had earned the ship's heavyweight boxing title, and though he wasn't allowed to serve in combat roles due to the Navy's segregation policies, he was proud of his work as a mess attendant. That morning, as he served breakfast to the ship's officers, he had no idea that within hours his life would change forever. The calmness of the morning was shattered at 7:55 a.m. when the first wave of Japanese planes roared over the harbor, their engines screaming through the air. Explosions erupted as bombs and torpedoes rained down on the American fleet. The attack was swift, brutal, and completely unexpected. As the USS West Virginia shuddered under the impact of multiple torpedoes, Doris was in the galley cleaning up after breakfast. The ship tilted violently, and the lights flickered as chaos ensued. Without hesitation, Doris rushed to his assigned battle station, an anti-aircraft magazine, only to find it destroyed by the initial blasts. Determined to help in any way he could, Doris ran to the deck, where he found Captain Mervyn Bennion, who had been mortally wounded by shrapnel. Ignoring the flames and the deafening noise around him, Doris, along with other sailors, moved the captain to a safer spot. Despite the chaos, Doris stayed by the captain's side, offering whatever aid he could, but it was clear that the captain's injuries were too severe. As more bombs fell, Doris noticed an unmanned .50 caliber Browning anti-aircraft machine gun. He had never been trained to operate such a weapon. His duties as a mess attendant had never included combat training, but at that moment instincts took over. Doris grasped the handles, feeling the cold steel against his palms, and aimed at the incoming Japanese planes. The gun roared to life under his control. The scene around him was hellish. Fires raged across the harbor. Thick smoke billowed into the sky, and the sound of machine guns and explosions filled the air. But Doris remained focused, his jaw set with determination. He fired continuously, tracking the enemy planes as they swooped down in their deadly strafing runs. Sailors nearby could hardly believe their eyes. Doris Miller, a mess attendant with no formal training, was manning the gun with precision and courage. He fired until the ammunition was depleted, and even then, he stayed on the deck, helping the wounded and assisting wherever he could. Despite the valiant efforts of men like Doris, the USS West Virginia was severely damaged and began to sink. Doris, along with other crew members, helped evacuate the wounded, carrying them through the smoke-filled corridors and over the debris-strewn deck. His strength and courage were a beacon of hope amid the carnage. By the time the attack ended, over 2,400 Americans had lost their lives, and much of the Pacific Fleet lay in ruins. The devastation was unimaginable, but stories of heroism began to emerge from the wreckage, and among them was the story of Doris Miller. In the days following the attack, Doris continued to serve on the USS West Virginia, which had miraculously remained afloat, although heavily damaged. It wasn't until weeks later that his actions came to light. His bravery was recognized, and he became the first African American to be awarded the Navy Cross, one of the Navy's highest honors. Doris Miller's story didn't end at Pearl Harbor. He continued to serve in the Navy, though he remained humble about his achievements. For him, what mattered most was that he had done his duty, that he had stood up in the face of overwhelming odds and fought for his country. As the sun set on Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941, the day ended much as it had begun, with the sky painted in shades of orange and pink. But the world had changed, and so had the life of Doris Miller. In those brief, terrifying moments, he had shown the world that courage has no color, and that true heroes often come from places least expected. If you like this story and want to see more, click the top left. If you want to help us, please hit the subscribe button, top right. Thank you.